For years, this industry focused and prioritized one number, follower count. Now, most people these days say that era is over, that follower count isn't really relevant anymore, and that the biggest names and mega creators don't move the needle like they used to. My guest today says that the last part is exactly wrong. He argues that the big names, the celebrities, and the mega creators do matter, but the brands are using them wrong. Tinashe, welcome to the Big Three. Great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, Ceci. It's good to have you.
Yeah, I'm excited for today's conversation, Tinashe. I honestly think it's a very relevant topic and interesting conversation. And I want to kick things off right
Mhm.
away. I remember when we first connected, you pushed back on something that the whole industry keeps saying these days: the fact that follower count doesn't matter like it
Mhm.
used to anymore. You said that you don't necessarily buy that. Your take is they still matter, but brands are just not working with them in the right way.
Mhm.
Can you unpack that for us? Can you tell us what is the industry getting wrong these days?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, we hear a lot of conversation around, micro creators, emerging creators. And I'm not here to dismiss that because definitely those emerging creators, the smaller creators are a big part of the equation.
Yeah,
But when it comes to bigger influencers or celebrities with massive following, and you hear a lot of the whole, industry, oh, stay away from them. What a lot of them aren't realizing is even the celebrity and pro athlete space is catching up to the digital world today. So what used
100%.
to be traditionally as a celebrity where they would need PR, distribution, TV, all of these things for their face to get out there, they're now starting to realize the importance of social media, and they too are becoming active and showing up every single day on their platforms. I like to use Josh Peck as an example from Drake and Josh.
Yeah,
He was a very much a TV star, and there are social media audiences that are meeting him for the first time via online, not even knowing that he has a TV career. Hilary Duff does a great job with it as well.
yeah,
Tamara Mari does a good job with her and her family and incorporating her audiences. So I think the biggest thing was I do agree that in the beginning of the TikTok 2020 era, celebrities were still kind of sitting in their lane. But now you're
yeah,
seeing how creators are taking over Hollywood and celebrities are starting to show up. And more importantly, they understand the value of brand partnerships is not the same value as a TV or movie partnership when it comes to monetary values as well. So they too have
yeah.
stabilized even their pricing of how they show up for brands.
Yeah. Tinashe, I remember that you mentioned also that you were anti-celebrity your first
Yeah.
few years. I remember that from, again, our previous conversation. I'm intrigued about what changed your mind.
Yeah, I think really what did it for me is when you think about, and it's funny, I use myself as an example. I just got a cat about a kitten 4 weeks ago, and then I started doing a lot of research, watching different YouTube videos, and I
Yeah.
use this as an example because came across a really amazing girl. I think her name's like Emily Marie, Elena Marie, something like that, influencer about cat videos, amazing. Then I found this other guy named Jackson Galaxy, but then I realized he
Okay.
had a TV show about cats. I was like, oh, if I'm going to make these really hard decisions over my cat's health, a celebrity with a
Mm.
show around cats
Okay, I
versus an
see.
influencer who does it for fun, who am I really going to make those consumer decisions for what's best for the health of my own cat? So I started watching more. I got still watch both, but I lean more naturally for Jackson because of the harder consumer decisions. Now you take down an economical stance, especially when you see people's incomes reducing. There's less spend for more casual spend, and you have to make those critical decisions. Are you really going to be listening to the influencer or the celebrity who has all of this
Mm.
credibility and recognition, right? Compared to COVID, when, the government was giving away money, bailouts for everybody, right? We're all getting checks, we're spending, creators. But now,
Yeah.
while it's a little thinner, but I think really what did it for me, even over the years, is just seeing the advancement of celebrities integrating even themselves into launching their own products, right? So from the Dwayne The Rock, Ben Stillers of the world doing it, Hailey Bieber with Rode, and you seeing the success of these celebrity brands that's validating that the relevance is actually more important than ever. And especially when it comes to influencers, as great as it is to start businesses or products with them, there's still a lack of foundation and machinery of business which you
On the
get with
business
the
side, yeah.
celebrity. Yeah.
Yeah. Tinashe, okay, if we put it, if I wanted to put it concretely,
Yeah.
get back to the industry conversation, um, what do you think people are missing about how to actually work with those bigger creators, with celebrities, mega creators, or about maybe about what follower count really tells them?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the first biggest thing is understanding talent play a different role within the funnel. In terms, and I
Yeah,
think a lot of people, when you think of celebrity or certain types of celebrity, they aren't maximizing the celebrity properly within a funnel. In terms
yeah,
of certain content does really well top funnel versus bottom funnel. So the first thing I would say is they typically don't maximize or believe what a celebrity is willing to do for a partnership. So typically a lot of brands, when it comes to big celebrity, they'll think, okay, we need to pay for a big shoot. We need to pay for this production. It needs to be a certain tier. When in reality, a lot of these celebrities, the best way you can use them is to have them still do a shoot, but be intentional of getting content that fits for the different stages of the funnel.
yeah.
That's the first thing that a lot of them tend to miss. They believe certain one piece of content or format will help the whole funnel. The second thing they're missing is the fact that they believe that the prices and what they're being initially asked for when they ask for a rate is what it has to be. And the reality is someone could initially give you $300,000, $200,000 quote, but if you position it properly, they can come back and agree to 100,000 or, 50% less. And what your brands are missing before they even reach out to celebrities is they're not realizing how much value they have within their existing resources, meaning their
Okay, I see.
advertising assets, the ability to have billboards, their retail locations. And if you start to kind of frame what are all the resources and reach that we have as a brand,
Yeah.
then when you go and identify what celebrities are the right fit, you can start looking at, okay, I see this celebrity
Mm,
also has this business, and our business could actually probably drive more customers for their business if we maybe approach them about a
yeah.
co-brand collaboration. Then all of a sudden, the celebrity is no longer in the talent brain. They're now going into the business owner
The
brain,
business.
which
Yeah.
which then therefore in negotiation changes the whole environment. And sometimes even the person you're talking to, it might go from talking to the agent to talking to the brand's CEO that runs that, which their motive is about the growth and marketing potential of the product, not necessarily monetizing as much dollars as possible for the celebrity name.
Yeah. Okay. I want to go back to the funnel for a minute because
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is that it's not just about which creators you work with, but it's also about what you use them for. The fact that creators are good at different jobs, some of top of the funnel, some at the bottom. Tell us, what do brands get the most wrong, the most about in that matching process?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest thing, especially with creators and what they get wrong when it comes to funnel and who goes to where, is they aren't whitelisting the content. And what that does, and by whitelisting, meaning an influencer posts a video on their profile, then the brand uses ad dollars to run meta ads. So essentially, I like to give the description of let's take New York City. You have a performer, really talented
Yeah.
performer in the middle of Times Square performing. The thing about an influencer, it's like they're performing, let's say, Times Square, for example. When you amplify it, you then decide, do we put them on a bigger stadium? So do we put them on the
Mm,
stadium in Los Angeles and with more bigger audiences, with people that are interested? So amplification allows you to go beyond the influencer's organic, and then now you're starting to reach people that also have the same interest. And that is important because the atmosphere of social has changed, where now it is a pay for play. If you really want that reach, Meta, TikTok, Snapchat, et cetera, know that they have the attention. So therefore, you need to be able to allocate the dollars. Why that's important beyond just the reach is by you using whitelisting, you then get more data behind each
yeah.
video. When you only do organically, you're only getting the screenshots of that the influencer gives you, or no matter what influencer platform you use to run the verification, you will not be able to get the robust data that Meta ads or TikTok ads give you from video completion times, the CPM cost, CPA, etc., which actually allows you to make better decisions of determining this influencer is really good at low impressions, so we're going to put them
Yeah.
top funnel. This one has really good conversion, but higher cost, low CPMs. They're probably better in mid or lower funnel, right? But you
Yeah.
can't have those conversations if brands aren't even willing to put in the ad dollars behind the videos for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Tinashe, so if we want to put it simply, what does a top of the funnel creator is able to do that a bottom of the funnel creator can't, and vice versa?
Top of the funnels creators are very good at getting you to stop from
Mm.
a hook perspective, right? They'll get
Okay.
typically viral videos. A lot of these people are the ones that you go, oh, I've seen that person before. You don't necessarily know them, but you know of
Mm.
them and what
Yeah.
they do, right? So that's real top funnel. You don't really know them. Bottom of the funnel, and why that's important is because that's the first creator that makes the audience recognize your brand. Oh, that's that. That's the okay.
Mm.
Bottom of the funnel, now they're really good once the audience has gained the trust from the top funnel to make you pay attention a little more when it comes to product description. They're really good at pain points more in terms of actually getting you to take action to purchase. Those creators are very good. And typically, if you want to get like scouting, TikTok shoppers are very good at it. Amazon affiliate creators are very good
Very
at
good
it.
at it. Yeah.
LTK, very good at it, right? There's certain kind of, even where you go scout for them, even changes compared to top funnel where you
Mm.
do want the people with certain viewership and engagement. I would say those are the key things, but without top funnel, to get them to get audiences to even trust you, no one's going to listen to the converter because the full trust hasn't been built yet on a funnel perspective. So that's kind of the main difference when you look at it. And then
Yeah.
typically what ranges now is top funnel, higher views, higher follow count. A bottom funnel, typically you can ask these TikTok shoppers, how much sales have you done in GMV? And that alone, from a bottom funnel perspective, really helps you identify who's the right person and the right product fit for those more bottom funnel UGC type of videos that typically the media and performance team loves those type of videos when it comes to
Yeah.
retargeting.
Yeah. Tinashi, okay, so after everything that you've said, if we focus on a brand and if we wanted to bring it into practice, what should a brand actually do differently when they partner with a celebrity or a mega creator versus a maybe smaller or an everyday creator?
Yeah. I think when you're looking at the big celebrity, the first question is, does it even make sense for you as a brand to go that route?
Mm.
Meaning there's a lot of spirit fingers and yeah, wow, shiny object syndrome, right? When it comes to celebrity, I think the first question is, do you have a set even the bottom layer, like even looking like emerging, fast growing startups, is your marketing channels and marketing engine even fully aligned and connected through your search, paid, display, etc. First, the basis of your marketing. Second, do you have a strong influencer program that is already set? Typically, either that's on
Yeah.
a consistent basis, or sometimes that might be an affiliate basis as well too. While I tend to be in the top funnel awareness land, not affiliate, this is still important as a foundation before you even entertain big celebrities or big creators. The biggest thing when it comes to when you're preparing or wanting to work with big talent is understanding that the expectation of celebrities is truly as if you are working with another business in terms of operations, in terms of
Okay.
changes. You can't ask a video edit for tomorrow. It might take 2 weeks or 2 weeks because of the
Yeah.
situation of the compared to a small influencer. They're freelance. This is all they do. You might be one of two brands that they're working with, so they're going to be very high touch. So I think expectations of even how the movement of the deal. Second, also comes to really ensuring that you're putting a celebrity. We like the model of like a movie, right? You have a leading actor, supporting cast, background talent. If you're going
Yeah.
to really take the investment of a celebrity, make sure there's enough budget to have supporting cast and background to fit that. Or you must realize maybe that celebrity is too big. We might need to reduce costs to then reallocate budget so we can get more of the lower tier, which then you then amplify with paid media to essentially
Okay.
help you cope for maybe you don't get the Tom Holland of the world, but you get someone maybe smaller tier like Josh Peck, for example, right?
Yeah.
But you can then run ads in front of the same people that follow Tom Holland that would have the same interest as the product Josh Peck is looking. That is like the main thing when it comes to celebrities. I would say before even getting that conversation, from a regular creator conversation, that's the foundation. And what's more important isn't just we have influencers posting. Have you fully integrated the way you measure results and impact of influencer within the rest of your marketing channels first? Once you
Yeah.
can clearly get a clear pathway of a system, and maybe it's just as simple as for every video that comes in, we obviously we do the unique links. Then we make sure we amplify a certain amount. So back end, we have a certain amount of data. It might be a sense of retargeting their lookalike audiences, but there has to be a set machine of clear from
Yeah.
output to execution. In terms of results, that would say that was the main difference. And reality, not every brand is ready for a celebrity. I had this conversation with a company where doing a pitch. First
That was
conversation we had,
actually one of my following questions.
perfect.
Is every brand ready for working with celebrities? Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's perfect because it was. I'll give you like a competitor. It's kind of like a Patreon, you could say, or Substack, just that membership creator focus, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted us to, let's find a few celebrities, let's bring them on, right? Because fan base. Maybe let's do an activation with a big podcaster at Barnes and Noble, and we can get a bunch of people, fans, to show up and promote the platform. Yeah, and then we were doing the pitch. And we realized, as great as it is for us as an agent, trust me, we love celebrity deals. Makes it a lot easier for us, High stress, but obviously a dollar amount. We realized, wait a minute, we're reviewing their platform. They need an initial peer audience problem, meaning like people need to not just get on the platform, but then they need to stay on the platform. So we're sitting there, we're debating as a team and realize, wait a minute, celebrity at this stage doesn't make sense because their first stage is finding a set of creators that can consistently post on the platform. So therefore, the fans don't just come on, wow, and then leave. So really what's more important is to focus on a high retention audience base first. And that's where influencers can come in play because we can create 3-month, 5-month programs with them to be consistent on the platform.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a celebrity to commit to 3 to 5 months to be on one of these platforms posting X amount unless you're ready to spend high 7-figure dollars. So that was the first thing that we realized. And I think the key thing then when we had that conversation with them is we've had past campaigns where we go for the celebrities. Everyone's excited during the moment, right? Oh, wow, yeah. Investors are happy. Wow, you got that celebrity. We're looking great. And then comes reporting phase.
So?
Yeah, and then we're all like, oh, shoot. We thought, and it happened with, Snoop Dogg with the smokeless grill. I don't know if you saw that when that went viral, when Snoop Dogg said he was going to quit smoking, but it was a promotion for a grill, right? And I don't think that was a bad move. I think it was the follow-up. They didn't have supporting cast and background actors to really keep the conversation going. It just stopped at Snoop. So I think those are kind of, when you're thinking as a brand, is before, are you even ready for creators? I mean, mega creators, is your marketing overall engine set? Do you have tracking? Do you have a core set of influencers that you have validated that niche and category works for you? So meaning that you want to try on let's say a year, anywhere from 10 to 20 different categories with different creators with each category to really lock in a key 4 to 6 that work really well for your brand. And sometimes just because we give the example of, let's say, a yoga brand, you might realize your biggest niche and influencer are people that do custom lamp vintage girls that are really into it, right? Like you don't really know mainly because why I bring this in a side note is audiences have 8 different personalities throughout the day of how they behave, right? Mom, when you're at home with the mom is different than when with your girls at yoga compared to how 100%. You are at work. So if you start there and go, okay, now we know these 4 to 6 influencer categories work really well. Okay, now we know if we're going to pick a celebrity, it has to fit within one of these 4 to 6 and mainly overlay within at least 3 or 4 of those categories. Yeah. And then when you invest in that person, even when on a mass scale, it makes more sense compared to other celebrity partnerships like the Pepsi and Kendall Jenner Save the World thing that happened a few years ago where she was saving war with the Pepsi and the audience was like, wait, that doesn't make much sense, right? So I think that's then all of a sudden is where the conversation of that wasn't a good fit starts when the brand hasn't really locked in on where are those specific communities of influencer types that we should really go deep in first and then find a celebrity that is affiliated with those specific audiences.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, Tinashe, I want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier. This idea of buying into a creator businesses, into a creator's business, not just buying for the post. I want to go deeper into it. And ask you if you can break it down for us. I mean, what's the difference between buying, like partnering with a creator, buying a post, and buying into their business? What is the difference in concept, but also in the day-to-day operation side?
Yeah, I would say um, buying a post traditional influencer marketing is, it's like renting, right? Hey, we want this slot. Thank you.
Yeah,
Video done, post, and we're good. When you're really
the basic
buying into
101.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think some brands are confused and think that to buy into a creator business means that you have to launch a co-brand with them, like a Unwell, or you have to do all these, and
Yeah.
you don't.
Okay.
That's the first mistake. I think a lot of them are kind of stuck there and then they kind of stop with that conversation. Buying into a creator business is really looking at it like a mind map or a tree map of what organization chart of the creator here and what are all the things that they're affiliated with. It might be business in terms of specific product. They might have a nonprofit foundation in the social causes department. They might have membership, right? They might have. So once you kind of look at all these, you go, okay, how can we bring value to these? So I'll give you an example. So if they're a foundation celebrity and they're really into kids, and I use Guru Nanda as an example because they do a lot of nonprofit work. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm making this up, a pro athlete who has a foundation for kids for mentorship and health. Guru Nanda
Okay.
is like a Listerine for oral health. They would approach them to the foundations to say, hey, we want to donate, I don't know, $50,000 plus X amount of oil for the foundation, and it's part of her campaign. And we'd love to do this and do in partnership with the ex celebrity to really promote the organization. The first layer, they'll probably do a video for your channels, but not for their channels, right? But you already now
Mm,
have affiliation for way lower costs than you would just going to them. Then when you get in the conversation of more bigger picture of like, we want you to post, I love the example we used with Monica McNutt and Lexus. Monica McNutt
okay.
is a Knicks commentator in New York. She, for her personal brand business, she does a lot of involvement with this nonprofit called Grow Your Game. It's basketball for girls and youth. So we approached Monica and we said, hey, we did a campaign with Lexus for their TX, so a lot of seats, and we partnered with that nonprofit. And Monica had all these kids fit in the Lexus to show how roomy it is, right, as well. And since it's a personal thing on our heart, we were able, because it wasn't national Lexus, it was the local DMA dealership Lexus. So even getting them
Mm,
to realize it's not the same dollar amount, which then
exactly.
allowed Monica to accept a lower rate because one, we communicated, right, it was dealership. Two, we really want to promote what you're doing with these kids, right? And then she's like, that hits two things at once. So
Yeah.
perfect. I love to give another example from that was more nonprofit. Now let's think about on a business standpoint. A lot of brands, I like to use the example of Kabi Coming to America. It's a series we did with Procter & Gamble. Essentially, Kabi, the number one TikToker in the world, visited three different cities, New York, Miami, and New Orleans. And he would explore the different parts of that city. We were able to get David Beckham, Alicia Keys, and Stephen A. Smith all to
Yeah.
participate without them charging a talent fee. Now, how we were able to do it, how you get around it
How did I
is
pull that off?
right.
Yeah.
Yes, right. It was right around maybe a year or two after Beckham had announced his ownership of Miami FC. So we
Yeah.
approached him and said, the biggest TikToker in the world wants to do this series with Tubi, and he wants to feature Miami FC. So he's like, well, shoot, I'm trying to promote my new team, biggest TikToker in the world. I don't mind being in that, right? So boom. So we were able to get David Beckham. Now, the caveat is in the series, Beckham doesn't touch the product, right? It's only Kabi, but the organic aspect, him and Beckham are in that. And then he also, and
Yeah.
because Kabi was so excited to work with Beckham, Kabi even posted an extra post on his socials for free because he's hanging out with David Beckham. So it works both ways. Alicia Keys, same concept.
Exactly.
We approached because she had a theater show. we're bringing the biggest TikTok in the world. What's interesting about Alicia is she enjoyed the experience so much with Kabi that if you Google, Alicia Keys Kabi Lam, she posted the collab with her and Kabi organically on her socials as well, right? And then Stephen A. Smith had just launched his podcast. He needed people. So the episode was them at his podcast studio, Kabi and him doing skits. So that is like obviously on a very big
makes
scale,
sense
but
for
showing
everyone, and
the on the creativity. You could be small business and with a local influencer that has a big local. Like she's a photographer with 15,000 followers locally. The photographer, we're a big business with a bunch of retail locations. Let's offer her free studio, whatever, in exchange. Oh yeah, so she's incentivized, right? And all of a sudden, she's not charging you her talent fee. She's charging you her business. So just getting creative and like, how can we show up? And the last example I love is Shopify. 3-4 weeks ago with Jada Chivez.
Is that
Jada's
the creator that you go to China, the one that you mentioned in our previous conversation?
not the China one, not the China one.
Oh, okay.
No, this one, her business did 22 million of sales in terms of, it's an athleisure brand. 23 million of sales in 22 months organically, no ads.
Wow.
And Shopify, what they do in their program is they essentially sponsored her to do a pop-up in New York for a brand. They paid for the whole pop-up. She showed up both days, all 8 hours. She was there the entire time as a celebrity, all 8 hours, both days, because it's her brand and it's her fans.
Yeah.
Almost 4,000 people showed up, right? So Spotify's model is instead of paying Jada to promote how she uses Shopify, let's just sponsor her own thing and show her and then give them. And what you're doing basically is always thinking, how can we provide value to the celeb or influencer's audience? What's something they're trying to do and create this moment for them and let them be the hero for their audience because they're always looking for things. Or maybe it's content ideas. We did this, like Red Bull does a really good job with this, right? Red Bull has a program where they typically they're known to not pay influencers. However, they will fund a cool production or cool idea that you have, right? So they know their resources is in media. So while they won't pay, unless you're a Red Bull athlete, but the rest, they don't pay, they'll give you, if you want to do something cool and bungee jump and boom, they'll fund the whole thing because it fits with their strategy. So as a brand, think, what resources and assets do we have?
Yeah. Tinashe, I'm just curious, do you think is there any situation where this approach isn't the right fit or maybe even the smartest thing to do?
Yeah, I definitely believe I am a sales over brand type of guy. Right?
Okay.
Like sales of a brand, it's funny because I'm in the influencer space, right? And I'm also in the top funnel space, right? So it's not even like I'm an affiliate person. I'm a impression person. And I say that because if your sales system, ads, the full operational side is not set yet, then investing in even creators in general or celebrities really doesn't maximize the rest of it because they're really good at getting audience data info and data set for you to they're very good at retargeting fresh audience sets. And if you don't have that, like I keep going back to that, it doesn't make any sense. Second, there are some verticals that just from a B2B perspective, like, let's say like manufacturing or some of these, like I say, the boring sectors where influencer truly won't make an impact on a development perspective. It then shifts into the PR community relations department. So I think is from a marketing department perspective, those B2B organizations typically isn't the best, depending, like, let's say, because we're talking to some more manufacturing-based companies, and they're coming to us to say, hey, while, it takes us 2 years to close a multi-billion-dollar, whatever type of development deal, we want to show up in these communities, leveraging influencers for our community aspect of it, social services and PR and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So those are the times I would say, and that's going back to marketing, is it's not a good for marketing, but it might be good for other departments like PR and comms and things like that. I would also say from a revenue perspective, we typically recommend that from an influencer spend, if you're going to do like test, look at your full marketing budget for a year, typically test anywhere from 3 to 6% of your budget in influencers specifically. And then if you're really strong put, I would recommend like 8 to 15% tends to be like a good, strong, like once you have the consistency going. So if you're a company that, I don't know, has a 100K marketing budget, the 3% really doesn't make much sense when you're looking at 3,000 for spend, right?
Yeah.
Like you need at least in a year, I would definitely say at least 25 to 50,000 in a whole year. However, you can always take the PR approach. A lot of outreach, personal relationships, get people to either product
Okay.
exchange, etc. But just know if you go in that route, you're spending a lot of resources in the manpower to even get them to actually post,
And
right?
time,
But
right?
yeah, a lot of time, a lot of time.
Okay. Tinashe, just out of curiosity, you mentioned testing with somewhere between 3 and 8% of the total year budget.
hmm
Why those numbers and how did you land on those? Is
Yeah,
that
so the
from,
way we landed on, yeah, so it's from all of the campaigns we've done over the year. So I started Sosani in 2020, and then prior to that, we were like I was as part of a media buying a company, and the reason we say that is because there's a lot of noise around influencers seemingly as the savior of all marketing and brands assuming that somehow influencer will save all the other channels. And the reality is influencer is an addition to your marketing and your media plan. And really what we're
okay,
kind of campaigning for, what we used to campaign a lot is like 5%, like standard 5%. That's what we're saying 3 to, we're trying to ease people into it, like our campaign about the 5% rule. And the reason we came up with that is because when you think about a company that actually has the right foundation, the right search, the right media going on as well, just the whole full marketing channels, influencer typically is an accelerant of what's already succeeding. So when you look at that 3 to 6.58% test, is really a way for you to test into it for a couple of months without it not drastically impacting your
I see.
media and marketing spend, right? So it really comes in the test perspective. When you get to that more consistency, 10 to 15%, that's because at that point you have an idea of exactly the type of activities and creators that you need to show the impact it's dwindling into the rest of your
Yeah,
marketing channels as well. So, and that's so that it also just been a lot of tests that we've done with a lot of companies, and this seemed to be where a lot of them feel comfortable trying something new in a way, holding their hand in,
yeah,
but also
yeah,
enough to actually see an impact and results to make them want to then increase spend after that.
yeah. Tinashe, a quick follow-up question on something that you were sharing with us before. You shared those successful partnerships with David Beckham, Alicia Keys. I'm curious if the model was there any time that the model didn't actually work for you? Maybe a partnership that didn't work. If you can walk us through that time and what were some of the key learnings that you walk away with?
Yeah. When it did not work, and I was thinking about this one. Who did it not work? The thing is, when you go this route, it typically times when it won't work, which goes into vetting, is when both parties are not willing to put in the work for the, I
Mm,
guess, for this, because not it's a little more work than just brief talent post, right? When you start looking at
it's a
how do we
whole
involve their
different
nonprofit and how,
play.
yeah. So I think the biggest thing is when you even when going into it is when expectations aren't, I guess, clearly defined in a way where this isn't going to be just a simple, brief in this. It's now you're dealing with another organization in a way, right? So what are kind of the standards that they need as well too? And I'm thinking of, we this actually recently happened. It was more in the college sports NIL space with this organization and this brand, where they were trying to, there were what was it, 2,000 athletes, this thing. I don't want to say too
Yeah.
much info, but basically on the talent side, their operations team wasn't the most because still talent, right? So the operations team wasn't the most efficient and robust.
Okay.
So like morning of, we still don't know where the product is going to go, and we don't have a volunteer to
Oh,
help with this and that, but it's operationally because they're still managing this entire big event, right? But we're doing this brand
yeah.
collaboration at the same time. So on the talent side, it was making sure they had a dedicated person to put in that extra effort specifically for that part of the partnership. On the brand side, from them, I would say that for that, while they did show up, they didn't give it becomes more sometimes of and depending on the scale, I would say, of not all resources are allocated both ways of needing the attention span. So once again, I was like, hey, we'll do it, but social, we're not going to use our social for this. We'll focus on the talents. Like, but you're not going to get the most value. The point of this isn't really to be a feel good, make good. It's still to drive audience and to drive
Yeah,
new customers. So if you're still not doing the key things, or we're still not making sure we use whitelisting and amplification, and you go, oh, well, since we're using their platform, we don't need that, and they're nonprofits. Like, no, you still need that, because we're not doing this for you to grow their business. We're doing this, end of the day, to
exactly.
come back to you to make money, right? So I think it's having that kind of clarity. And I think over the years, we've gotten better at the vetting process to ensure that we're matching the right business opportunity with the right brand.
Yeah. I want to go back again to something we were discussing at the beginning of the conversation, whether if this playbook of buying into a creator business is the right approach for every single brand. I want to push that a little further and ask you if this model is doable for any normal in-house brand team, or does it only work when you already have the relationship with the celebrities, the mega creators?
Yeah, I would say it's 50-50. I would say 50-50.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because, main reason why I say that from a 50-50 perspective is because some of these ideas, the opportunity really um is very public, meaning these moments sometimes aren't something you're planning necessarily for a whole year. Meaning a creator announces they're launching X business. Is your team agile enough to realize, wow, they're trying to get this, like, it's about hitting, they're still people, right? So psychologically, it just about, it's like the concept of, wow, you worked for me when I was small, and now I'm big and I love you, right? Like, it's like Kabilam with Hugo Boss. They were one of his first sponsors, and they still sponsor him 4 years, 5 years, 6 years later, whatever it is, right? And he's very much like, he does whatever he needs to do to maintain the relationship. So I think is being agile enough to see the opportunities, and then having a team
Okay.
internally that is open. And I love, like, brands like Cash App, really open to trying different things. Second, I would say that the brands that don't have a robust, mature influencer team and experience will never be able to properly execute that creative aspect, because they're still worried about the basics of, like, posting and is the right creator and tracking.
Okay, I see.
So I think it really comes down to having the right team and experience. And then if you're a smaller business, that becomes really a strategy of the founder being more involved as a business owner. Hey, we like this creator. I'm like, the founder needs to be more involved in those conversations, but compared to like a Fortune 1000 company, it's a little bit different. I would also say, for me, I think obviously we spend a lot. These projects, we're probably doing maybe 3 to 4 main ones a year. The rest of the year is still mainly the core traditional influencer aspect, right? In terms of
Okay.
that aspect. So it's because they typically are very much organic. Oh, like, and I hate using that word, right? But it's very much, this happened, we saw in the news, our agency team had an idea. Oh, why don't we go reach out to this person? For example, Kabi Lam had announced, that he was doing a movie as a spy. Last year, we had an idea, so we reached out to this brand and it worked. We got the deal, right? But it's like the moments of, like, something press happens, you latch on. So I think from a brand perspective, strategically, it needs to be one of those things that's like, we're allocating budget throughout the year for this kind of tentpole access budget for moments for it to happen, but it's not
Yeah.
necessarily something that is going to be planned unless it's with a very established celebrity, with a brand that's been around for a few years. So you're really coming to them with a key strategy. Like, we're doing this right now with a very massive creator who they've been trying to get to go to China, and they have not been able to get him to go. So strategically, the way they were able to get it done is they're actually getting, like, the distribution rights of his product in China. So now he's
Yeah, that's
going
the one
there,
that
right?
yeah, I remember that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Yeah. So that should be announced, I think, in the next few weeks and stuff like that as well, right? So to really answer your question, I would say brands can do it, but from a maturity of the influencer team will really dictate if it makes sense. Obviously, reach out to agencies like us, but I always try not to sell our services. I always believe that how can a brand get as much knowledge internally first? But yeah, I know it's a long-winded question, but I think really it is scenario-based. And if leadership of that brand is willing to put in the time and investment to have the right people to get it done
Okay.
internally. And that's why I think the first step, look at what resources you have. I love Carrot Card. It's a financial banking tool for credit card for creators. They do amazing job. I believe once you hit 10,000 or 50, whatever 1,000 is of credit spend and payback, they'll feature you on a billboard. So you're seeing
Oh, I
creators
like that.
fly. They fly across the country to New York to see themselves on a billboard, right? And Carrot, I believe, has a relationship with the billboard owner of it. So they're getting it at very low cost. But, right, it's then exchange, right? These creators are flying across the country going, look, mama, I made it. Because from a creator
I'm
perspective,
there.
I think psychologically, we use this method called the influencer anatomy. And really is if you understand that the end of the day, they're a creator who's trying to make it. And a lot of them want to look official. TV, right? Billboards.
I know what
So
you
if
mean.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, so if you offer those, like I'll use Lex as another example again, to get around creators from charging us so much, because it was dealership, not national, we basically brought a production team to film their first video for most creators where they were the ones with the production team around them. So they're like, wow, look at me. And then when we posted the video, their fans are like, wow, you made it, girl. You're in a commercial. Wow. Da-da-da-da. But it costs us bare
I love
minimum
that.
to get
Yeah.
two videographers out there, right, of cost. So I think it's really, before you even go into a creator business, first step is how can we maximize our retail locations, our media, our ability to put things on billboards, and then approach creators of like, hey, we love what you've been promoting for your, I'm making this up, for your new nail polish brand. It's a very big girl creator. We love to do a pop-up at our retail for free and for your thing, whatever, and we'll pay for food. Oh my gosh, yeah, what do you want? And all of a sudden, you
Yeah.
have a relationship, right? And for
Exactly.
you, it was low cost. So I think as brands, really, they're undervaluing the assets that they have
We
because
want
we use
more
them
of
day
that.
to day. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Tinashe, you just mentioned leadership. I don't remember exactly what was the framing, but I want to ask you this. If you were a CMO in a CMO seat today, knowing everything you've said about using the biggest names, right? What's the first thing you would change about how your team works with creators? Anything that you see across the board, anything that you
Yeah.
see CMOs doing wrong?
Yeah. I think creators have been an afterthought for a lot of companies. And
Okay.
the industry, a lot of companies don't know how to make it part of the conversation without it overpowering the conversation because of just how noisy the influencer space is. So I would say the first thing would be looking at from a team perspective, how are we ensuring all departments are having a shared strategy which influencer can essentially go through each department smoothly, meaning how does social team create content that then can be dispersed through uh, website
Yeah.
and paid media. Because what typically happens is social would do content, a video would do great. Performance team has no idea of what's going on. They're doing their own thing. A lot of companies have performance has another influencer team that's doing stuff just only for social. So I think it's just about streamlining it because what that will also do is
Talking
also
to each other.
from a budget spend perspective, it will also reduce budget spend as well because on the social side, sometimes they get 6 months media rights for paid and then performance team doesn't realize until month 6 or 7. Now they're paying more to extend. So that would be a big thing is just a streamlined strategy, which how influencer can play a role. And then the second thing I would also look at is when we're looking at reallocation, while people say TV billboard is dead, I believe it's still it's still here. It's not going anywhere. And really, that asset has become even more of an opportunity if you now get more creative on how to use these traditional placements that aren't aren't as popular. So if you
Yeah.
can make something different, media will pick it up a lot more because of that space of so much noise happening in
Okay.
social. So I would say it's less of cutting it completely. It's more of re-innovating and making my team think of how to better leverage those other assets to make more of a digital conversation, and that aspect of it as
Yeah.
well. And then I would say the third thing for big names, I would really focus it on a specific initiative, either a new product launch, new market launch, but it shouldn't be something you do without some type of news or growth or new product, right? Like if
Yeah.
it's more, if it isn't a specific growth year, then celebrities just doesn't make sense unless it's being attached to some type of message that is elevating the brand, new
Okay.
product,
I see.
new offering, new flavor, etc.
Yeah. Tinashe, last question of the day. More broadly, what's one thing that you tell this industry to stop doing right now? Anything that you would like to change, even?
Am I talking to the brands or am I talking to the talent and managers?
I think that the industry more broadly.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Industry more broadly. I think the industry is a little bit on a high of creators, like long-term partnerships, creators and media and invest in movies. Yeah, wow, creators.
Mm.
And the reality is the industry needs to still understand the business fundamentals of growing a business and
Oh, I like
sales.
that. Mm.
And the issue is the creator side, while it is the hot thing, is filled with non-business people who have a lot of emotion, right?
Mm.
So then you're seeing this weird thing where on the brand side, like, for example, Unilever announced they're investing in X amount in influencer. But then when I was talking to creators, I was like, you realize, first of all, they own how many brands? So if you look at the allocation, and then two, when they say spend, it doesn't mean here's $10,000 to necessarily for a post. It might mean post this affiliate link and we'll pay you out $10,000 of sales if you get commission. So
Yeah.
people aren't
Okay.
like, so I think from an industry perspective, and I think it's necessary because it is a creative self-expression, individuality aspect, which I think is necessary of why creators are who they are, because audiences want that
Makes sense.
authenticity.
Yeah.
But I think for the ones that are really going to still be in this industry 6 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, are the ones that are always going to be obsessed end of day of how are we growing a brand's business, not necessarily how are we empower. Yes, empower creators. But why are
I
we
see
doing
what
that?
you're saying.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So without the core business of transactions, long-term partnerships don't make sense for our brands. It just doesn't. Like, and the industry is saying that's where it's going. Everyone wants long-term partnerships. And it's just like,
Yeah.
no, right? Because what also makes the creative
Or
space really
yeah, or
great.
maybe yes, but you need to
Yeah.
have a business plan and a
Yeah.
business
No,
perspective.
it
Yeah.
100%, 100%. And like, trust me, once again, as an agency person with the management division and agency, the ha-has is, of course, I would love it too. But we've been in rooms during reporting where brands end up completely changing like how they look at it because they thought the hype was this, and then right. So I think it's about
Yeah.
being responsible marketers. Of you either catch the wave and transact as much as possible, or you look ahead and you might not make as much initially, but the longevity of your relationships and deals. This happened to me,
Yeah.
right? 2021, brands were coming to us, 50K for a TikTok post. And I would genuinely have to say, yo, like, for based off your objective, I would love the commission, but I think you might want to get 5 smaller ones instead and maybe put some ad buy. Like, I don't, if you want, like, I'll take the money, right?
I'll do
But I
it,
think,
but
right? Yeah,
go
but I
figure
think the
out your
smart,
plan.
yeah, 100%. The smart ones understand that. And then, but the thing is, I like to use like I Show Speed now with TV, right? And
Yeah.
everyone's like, look at this, an obsession, Mr. Beast. And I like to say, these are really good indicators that, yes, that's where the industry is going. But at the end of the day, I Show Speed, Mr. Beast, Obsession as well. He's been creating for 10 years, and he's actually production first before social. So there's all of these
Yeah.
anomalies where the industry, I think the smart ones realize, hey, while that's happening, I'm still going to be asking the brand, who is your customer? What makes them buy? What are the right products? And sometimes I might mean us working once together and seeing it and then realize I'm not a good fit, or maybe it is during long term.
Yeah.
But first, let's just have more conversation around not demonizing the brand and making the creator
like
this
that,
big
yeah.
hero. Because at the end of the day, without the brands, Meta wouldn't be paying out the creators. YouTube wouldn't be paying out the creators. So end of the day, the brands are the princess, not the creators. And that conversation needs to happen a little more publicly.
Yeah, I agree. Tinashe, that was the last question of today's episode. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we wrap things up?
No, I think anyone who's in the space or listening, I think the biggest secret I've noticed is maintaining passion and interest within it. I think at the end of the day, we're not saving lives or doing surgery here, everybody. We're making TikTok videos. So I have noticed the best successful, even client relationships, really, it's like, as long as you're always not in that kid mentality of curiosity, that is really the only way you succeed in this space, because it's changing every 3 months, 6 months. And if you get too stagnant and use strategies from 6 months ago, you're already behind.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Well, Tinashe, thank you so much for adding that last comment. It was great having you. This was such a good conversation. Thank you again for coming on and sharing your insights. And to everyone watching or listening, thanks for spending time with us. We'll be back soon with more from across the creator economy. Talk soon.